What's going on, everyone, and welcome to a day one guide of RuneScape's newest content, Moons of Peril. Now, this is a day one guide, so things could potentially change. If there's anything of importance that ends up changing, I'll pin a comment down below, or if anyone else leaves a good comment regarding the Moons of Peril, I'll have it down there as well. But welcome to RuneScape's newest mid-game boss. So some recommendations. Since it is a mid-game boss, there isn't a ton you would need to do. Probably looking at about 60s in your combat stats. The only thing we're going to be using is melee, so no mage, no range needed, and you can't use protection prayers. They don't work, according to the info we've been given, so you don't even need 43 prayer. Just whatever best boosting prayer you have will do. As for the gear, first and foremost, we are going to need the 3 melee combat styles. We're going to need a stab weapon, we're going to need a slash weapon, and we're going to need a crush weapon. In this video, you'll see me using a rapier, a whip, and a dragon hunter lance, but feel free to downgrade as needed or upgrade if you have better items. The whip is pretty standard, but crush, you can always look at the new zombie axe, you can look at the leaf-bladed weapons, Sarachna's cudgel. For stab, you can have swords, abyssal dagger is going to work, leaf-bladed sword will also work. You can fill in a bunch of things, but upgrade or downgrade as you need. You need stab, slash, and crush weapons, one for each boss, and then defense is king here. You will see me using bandos. I think that's about the lowest you want to go in terms of sacrificing defense for power. I wouldn't recommend a torso. Barrow's items are actually really good here. I think you probably could skate by with rune, but that's going to be tough. If you have Justy, fantastic, that'll do really well, but I would try and get at least Barrow's armor. I'm going to assume that you know how to get here because it's part of the quest you have to do to be able to do this content, so I'm not going to cover getting here at all. I will cover each of the fights though in case you're doing it for the quest. We'll go over first the prep, which is going to be done basically at the beginning of every fight. You can usually make it through 2 or 3 fights if you want with one prep, but I just do it after every fight because it makes it easy. Then we're going to go through, there are 3 different boss encounters, so we'll go through each one by one. The first items you're going to need: big fishing net for the food we're going to have, and then you're going to want a pestle and mortar. We're going to start by going northeast, and this will have everything we need. So we will get 2 vials of water. If you right click on the fire pots that you made during the quest, take herblore supplies, you get 2 vials of water. Then you can run over to the dock and just fish food. I use the fish as my food source. I know some people use other types of food. These heal 30 per. They seem to work well. They are a little slow to catch, but it's some nice downtime. Once you've caught a full inventory, run up, cook them on the range. You'll drop 2, and then you'll go over to this bush and just pick up the grubs. You'll use your pestle on both of them, and then use them in the potions. These potions are super combats, and they also heal your prayer. Once you've done all that, head south and go in the door, and we are good to start our first fight. This is going to be the Eclipsed moon. This moon is weak to stab, so you'll be using your stab weapon here. There's a couple of mechanics in the fight. The first one you want to know, and this spans across all the bosses, you'll see moon phases that are going to be on the floor, and one of them is going to be lit up. When you stand in that moon phase, you'll do extra damage, so always try to stay in that moon phase. And whenever you hit a full or new moon, which are these 2 tiles, the boss is going to do one of the specials. Each boss has 2 different specials, depending on which phase they're hitting. So we're going to jump into the Eclipse Moon's specials now. So the first special, the boss is going to stun you and pull you into the middle of the ring. And then there's going to be 3 shadows, what we'll call them, that'll pop up. There will be multiple sets, but they come out in 3. What you want to do, and keep your boosting prayers active for this if you have them, because they still do effect. Any damage you do in this phase is taking damage off the boss, which is a thing for most of the specials. You want to face the shadows as they attack you. So the best way to do this, once you see it, you're just going to click under it and face that way. And then once the next one spawns, click under it and face that way. You'll do that 3 times, and you don't have to wait for the attack animation of your guy to go off. Just make sure you're facing properly as soon as you can, and you will do the damage, and make sure you don't take any damage in return. You can get locked in this phase. If you drop the boss to no health in this phase, it caps out with 1 HP left, and you have to wait for the entire phase to go. It's not the biggest deal, but this, you do get a lot of damage off on the boss, so it's nice if you can do this phase first. Once that's done, you'll go back to whatever tile is highlighted and continue your rotation of attacking. The second phase, the boss is going to push you out behind a ball and then send out periodic attacks. Your job is to keep the ball in between you and the boss, and you won't take any damage. This is always fun because, as we know, RuneScape's movement is lovely. So I have True Tile Indicator on. It helps a little bit. It's really just finicky. But that'll be the second special. It'll go one rotation around the entire circle, and then you'll be back to attacking. So you can just jump in the room by hitting the statue, and whatever tile's lit up, stand on there and start meleeing. If you get to the tile right when it changes, you can usually get off 3 melee attacks before you should just move over to the next one. Praying melee, even though you see a lot of people doing it, isn't worth it, is what we've heard, so don't bother. Once you finish the boss, it'll dive into you and teleport you out. And this minigame, boss, whatever you want to call it, does a really good job of placing you close to the next boss. So here you will see there are butterflies around this arena. If you have a butterfly net in 75 Hunter or just have 85 Hunter, you can catch these and they will just regen your prayer. I think it's based on level. Usually a lot of this stuff is. I get 22 prayer points per moth caught. Otherwise, it's not the biggest deal. You can just use your potions. You can make those again very easily. And then you're going to run west and enter the next door, and we will be going into the ice phase. The Ice Moon is weak to Crush, so you're going to want to use whatever Crush weapon you have. And then the 2 special attacks that the Ice Moon has, the first one is it's going to push you back, and it's going to set the 2 braziers on either side of the room, west and east. It's going to put them both out. You're going to have to run across the room and light both. You don't need anything special, tinderbox or anything. And they're going to be tornadoes going north and south on a direct path. If you get hit by these, you will take some damage and it will turn off your run. It's not a lot of damage, but you can just walk over, take your time. It gives you a decent amount of time to go and light bolt those, then head back into the middle of the room. The second special attack, there will be 3 ice chunks that spawn and it will take your weapon. You have to attack the ice chunk that's glowing to get your weapon back. And periodically it will spawn spikes in a pattern outside of that ice block that'll detonate after a little bit. You can get 2 auto attacks off on the ice blocks before moving out from the spikes, and you'll be okay to hit it. Once you get your weapon back, you can just kind of chill. You can hit other ice blocks if you want for XP, but just wait until the boss comes back and continue to go at it. After that, you're going to be spawned into the room outside of the room we started in. Always know if you want to restore your run, I especially recommend it here. Right click on the campfire, sip some of the tea, it'll give you a full run back. And we're going to head east to do the final moon, the blood moon. The blood moon is weak to slash, so put on your slash weapon, and then we'll jump into the specials. So the first special is the boss is going to spawn 8 jaguars around the arena. There's going to be one that is lit up. That is the one that you should be attacking. Now the mechanics with these jaguars is they will attack you on a very specific tick, and there will also be a square of like healing blood pool that the boss will spawn. Those two are a little offset, so you're going to want to stand closest to the jaguar at start. You'll see the blood pools come down. The best way to say the timing is once you see those fully formed and they're not moving anymore, click on the square. If you break it early, you're going to heal the boss a little bit and take a little bit of damage. But if you do it right, you can avoid the attack from the jaguar because it's just a square in front of you and not take that damage from the blood pool. Once you get into a rhythm, it's pretty easy to get down, and you will be healing in this section. As long as you're not taking any other damage from any sources, you should come out of this with just about full health. This phase also does hurt the boss as well, and it is kind of a long phase, so getting this down is probably one of the more important mechanics, I'd say, just to save yourself some health. The second phase is much easier. The boss is going to stun you and throw you, I think it's to a random spot in the room, and then there's going to be blood periodically dripping from the ceiling. You just need to make sure that you don't step in any of that blood. What I do to kind of make it a little easier is I always have my character moving. It just makes it so that if you end up stepping on a tile that has blood on it, it's easy to move out in the same tick. And I'm not sure if I said this with the other bosses. I know I did it for the first one. All of these bosses' attack cycles, you should be able to get in 3 attacks before you need to move to the next tile of the moon phase. All of them, it's a pretty good, easy way to keep count. If you get an attack off early enough right after a special, you can get 4 in. But just remember 3 and move will make your life very easy. Once we've defeated the boss, we will be put right back in the same spot that we were put into before we got into the Blood Moon room. We are now going to head south, and we are going to head to the chest room. The chest room is just a straight run south from this spawn point. And once you get in there, now this chest is a little wonky. Other people can open it, and then you can't open it. The chest is in the middle of the room. Just give it a second. If it's open, it'll close again. Then you can open it and get your loot. Once you get that loot, you're going to go back into the room that we just left. You're going to head down the east hallway and go northeast. You're going to enter that doorway, and then you're going to be back in the main room We're going to go back to the northeast corridor and start our prep again and run it right back. I hope this was an informative guide for you all in case you were trying to get through the bosses for the first time or you kind of wanted to see what running this consistently would look like. If you have any feedback, feel free to leave it below. Any suggestions, any tips for this? This is still a new boss that new stuff is being learned. Don't forget to leave a like if you did, subscribe if you like RuneScape content. I do guides periodically when fun stuff comes out. Otherwise, I got a couple of series going. Feel free to follow me on Twitch. That is down in the description below as well. I'll probably run Varlamore for a little bit because it seems like some fun collection log slots, especially, the first week or two when new content is out. Stuff is pretty high priced. Maybe get a couple of those things. We'll see. But until next time, I'll see everyone later.